We're live. Are we live? It's 2 o'clock. It's Tuesday. We're going to talk Facebook. We're going to talk marketing your business remotely. Been running this morning, as you can see. Got a bandana on. Yep, love my bandana. In fact, I'm just wearing it all the time now. So, what do you think? Do you like it, or is it too much?
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Yeah. We'll stop that. We've got to be serious now. Joel's told me I've got to stop mucking about and be serious. Marketing is a serious business, so I will take my bandana off. God, look at my lockdown hair. Terrible. At least you can't see my grey hairs too much. So let's have a look. Where are we? So we're going to talk about marketing your business remotely. Obviously, everyone's in lockdown, and we're getting asked a lot of questions about what do I need to be doing differently about my marketing? What should I be doing more of? What should I be doing less of? Now, whether you want to listen to me or not is totally up to you, because there's one thing that will happen in a crisis is that everyone will become an expert. Suddenly, you've got Cindy in Aberdeen who did a half-day first aid course with St John's back in the 1980s, and suddenly she's an expert on coronavirus. Everyone's an expert. Everyone's suddenly an expert on social media. You know, we've been doing social media, our company, for like 15 odd years. So rest assured, this isn't something we are suddenly doing. This is something we have done loads of for a long time. At marketing, it's all I've done since the mid-90s. As my father used to say, I'm trained in nothing. So it's all about marketing your business remotely, and also about marketing your business, obviously, from a flexible point of view, because flexibility is something we love. Now, everyone wants to earn money, but something Joel and I really value with our lives, with our businesses, is flexibility. And I don't mean flexibility as in like, oh my goodness, can I move about? It reminds me, actually, I phoned a yoga lady yesterday and asked, when all this madness is over, if I could book in some yoga sessions with her. She said, how flexible are you? I said, I can't do Tuesdays. Yeah, I use that joke in our Christmas video. My joke repertoire is very, very limited, so I apologise. So we've been doing marketing a long time, not suddenly a bandwagon we've jumped on. So the answers I'm going to give to the questions that we've had coming in are going to be based on experience. So the first question we have is from Thomas. Now, Thomas has said, does your team use Zoom to keep in touch? If not, what do you use, and what do you find is the best software for staying in constant contact? So that's a great question. Obviously, lots of people have been hearing about Zoom. Lots of people have been using Zoom. In fact, I think if you bought shares in Zoom like 3 months ago, you'll have doubled your money or something. But accordingly, there have also been a few reports of Zoom about lack of privacy. There's some security issues. So there's a great IT company called Bespoke Computing. They're based not too far from here, down in Telford. And if you go to bespokecomputing.com, you'll see their most recent blog is all about Zoom. And they're not saying, don't use Zoom. That's terrible advice. Never just tell people what not to do, because they'll just go and do it. So it's an advice about, it's a blog written about things to bear in mind if you are going to be using Zoom, because there have been a couple of security issues, and you don't want to be like sort of unveiling industry trade secrets or anything over Zoom. But Thomas, if you are talking about a platform to stay in touch with your team, make sure they're okay, swap good news, make sure they're all right, what's going well, what isn't going well, Zoom can work really well. Now, obviously, I suppose, well, when did your question come in? Right, okay, so your question came in probably before Facebook unveiled the fact that they're expanding their sort of messenger video function to up to 50 people or something. So if you're familiar with using Facebook, then that could be a good thing for you as well. But generally speaking, it's Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Big Microsoft fans out there, they prefer to use Teams. Definitely worth checking out Zoom. It is very easy to use, to be able to send someone a link and say, right, click here at 2 o'clock, and pretty much everyone can use Zoom. In fact, I think my brother set my mum up on Zoom. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. So, but speaking of Facebook, Thomas, Facebook Workplace can work really well in terms of internal communications. So if you use Facebook and you just know how it works, it's something you've grown up with, then Facebook Workplace, it's what Codebreak use for communication internally, because you can set up different groups. So if you've got 10 clients, you can have 10 different workplace groups. You can have one-to-one chats, you can have one-to-one video chats, you can have group chats. So Workplace can work really well. Because let's face it, we have to market our clients here at Codebreak, but we also have to market ourselves. And being able to stay in touch cleanly and clearly is very important. And just like if you're going to market your own business and you've got a team, you want to be in regular touch, because even though you're all working remotely, marketing strategies need to be adhered to, and for that you need an open line of communication. So underneath all the fluffy, wonderful stuff about marketing, you've got to have those processes, those communications processes and tools in place to make sure everything goes smooth. So that's a good question, Thomas. So yeah, we're big fans of Zoom, but again, if you've got privacy concerns, go and check out bespokecomputing.com and see what they have to say. Next question of Molly W. How frequently should I be posting to social media per day, per week, now that we're in lockdown? To be honest, Molly, I think we talked about this before. It's with social media success, it's about the quality of your posting, not just the quantity. In fact, most social media is pay to play. So as long as you're giving social media money, the number of posts you do becomes less important anyway. And it is very, very difficult to get any kind of traction going for a small to medium-sized business on social media if you are not giving them money. So if you're on Facebook and you're posting 20 times a day, whatever it might be, you'd be much better off posting once a day and having a £5 a day ad running. So the minimum you need for Facebook in terms of advertising is £1 a day, but £30 a month. Are you really going to expect miracles for that amount? So generally speaking, when we're taking a client on board and we're going to be looking after their social media, they need to have a Facebook ad budget of at least £5 a day. So that will take some pressure off, Molly, in terms of worrying about frequency. But as what I said at the beginning, it really is a case of quality over quantity. The optimal frequency for Facebook success is once a day. Once a day, that's all you need. A lot of people think the secret formula is, I must vomit all over Facebook, I must post 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 a day. It doesn't work like that. So in fact, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn, I think a company called CoSchedule collated the results from 14 different studies, and they showed that Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, once a day is optimal. Totally different for Twitter. I think it was 14 or 15 times a day. That's the optimal frequency for posting on Twitter. But for the other three, once a day, that's all you need. Now, obviously, if that daily post can be strong, even better. You want a post that's going to engage with people. So if you can have your target as sort of maybe 5 to 10 posts a week on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, Molly, that should really help you. But focus on the type of content you're putting out. And just to reiterate, it isn't about quantity. Oh, excuse me, sorry, frog in my throat. Oh, neat vodka, lovely. So say for example, Molly, you put a really cool post out at 9 o'clock and people start engaging with it. And at 9:30, you put out a pretty weak post. That second post can actually lower the reach and effectiveness, engagement of the first post. So once a day, there we go. And to be honest, lockdown, no lockdown, pandemics, recessions, none of it really affects social media posting frequency anyway. It should be a case of doing what you did before the lockdown. What we're seeing now, Molly, is a few businesses who thought they were too cool for social media before or didn't have time, couldn't be asked, whatever it might be. Suddenly they're at home and they're like, oh, no one's buying off me. I must vomit all over Facebook. I must post on Pinterest 10 times a day. No. If you were looking after your social media before the lockdown, you'll have a lot less to worry about compared to those kind of guys. It's we are posting for ourselves and our clients the same sort of amount of times as we did before the lockdown. For some clients, we are posting a little bit more. For some clients, we're posting a few less times a week, fewer times a week. Don't know, got confused there. But it really shouldn't make much of a difference. Marketing, Google, social media advertising, none of them have any kind of respect for pandemics or recessions, whatever it might be. They like consistency, and marketing, a lot of marketing success is about consistency. It's about doing something consistently well, no matter what the environment, whether things are good, bad, or absolutely shit. So if you see a business that posts on Facebook once a week, then the coronavirus hits and suddenly they're posting on Facebook 20 times a week. That is a sign of a struggling business. So, right, third question of Andy Pickering. Hello, Andy. Andy, that is my second most favourite name, for boys. My first was Xavier. I remember when Emma was pregnant with our first child and we were like drawing up our list of boys' names and girls' names, Xavier was at the top of my list if we were going to have a boy. But then Emma thought, it was going to be sort of X-Men kind of thing, and I'd be calling our son Professor X and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have Magneto on the list, anything like that, but I thought Xavier was a really cool name. But we ended up having a girl anyway, so it became a moot point, and we called her Maddie, and she's absolutely lovely. In fact, she's just like me, so luckily she is taller and with a smaller nose. So, right, anyway, enough about my nose. Andy Pickering, your question is, what are the best platforms for marketing my business during this time? I want to keep easily in touch with my customers as well as putting out regular content. I guess sort of covered that with Molly's question, really. The best platforms. Now, it depends whether you're business to business or business to consumer. Generally speaking, this is a generalism. If you are a business to consumer company, you look at Facebook ads, and Instagram, generally speaking. If you are B2B, if you are business to business, then you'll be looking at Facebook ads and LinkedIn. That generally is our kind of recommendation. So you're looking at a combination of those, Andy, depending on the line of work you're in. So social media, of course, Facebook ads. I know I keep talking about Facebook ads. It's because they're so bloody effective. And there is no point me banging on about how great social media is unless I'm transparent in saying you need to give social media money. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they're all businesses. They all want to make money. Now, at the moment, there's quite a lot you can do on LinkedIn without giving them money, but that will be changing. In fact, it's already changing. So at some point, you're going to have to use LinkedIn advertising if you want to reach enough people. With Facebook, it's been the case for a long time that you've needed to pay to play, basically. And if you don't like it, it's tough. It's a free media and you have to put up with adverts. But don't moan if you see an advert that's not relevant for you. That is because that company doesn't know what they're doing and they are targeting the wrong people. Although, of course, it could be the case that you're visiting websites you shouldn't be, and you're seeing ads that maybe you think, I don't want my wife seeing those kind of ads. So Facebook ads, that is why they're so good. It's because they can target people for a relatively low amount of money. So, Andy, whether you're B2B or B2C, the platforms of best marketing your business, I would say Facebook ads to start with. If you haven't played around with Facebook ads, at the moment Facebook ad prices are at rock bottom. Not that every cloud has a silver lining, but hey, if we can pay less for our ads, happy days. So Facebook ads, Facebook obviously coming up with interesting content. Instagram, if you are in a business where you can take good photos, and they don't have to be sort of Lord Snowden type quality, probably show my age there, but decent enough pictures on a decent enough smartphone, Instagram could work well for you if you're B2C. Don't use stock imagery. We're sort of anti-stock imagery anyway, because you might find that you and all your competitors are basically buying and using the same kind of images. So much better for you to take control of, to be honest, every aspect of your business. So whether it's you being pretty good with the camera or just getting a professional photographer in, getting nice headshots done, team shots done, shots of your office, shots of your product, whatever it might be, content that you can repurpose, that can work really well on Instagram for you. Moving away from social media, you've got podcasts. Podcasts are massive. Did a video about podcasts a few weeks ago, and Evie gave us a stat. What was it, like 10 million people listen to a podcast in the UK at least once a week, something like that anyway. Podcasts are not a fad, they're here to stay. And if you've got an interesting view to share, if you've got expert advice to share, Andy, podcast could be just the boy, because you want to be seen as a business owner. Of course you do. You don't want to be seen as the guy who's there just doing the day-to-day nitty-gritty stuff. You want to be seen as the business owner, driving your business forward and helping people. But even better, you're seen as an expert in your field. So if you've got expert views, podcasts are a great way of marketing your knowledge without without coming across sort of cocky and arrogant, it's you sharing your expertise free of charge. Like a blog, really. That's what a good blog is all about. Top tips, how to, things you didn't know about, that kind of thing. So podcasts, you don't need much tech to do them either. That can be a big hurdle to people doing podcasts. I think, oh God, I'm going to need microphones. I'm going to need this software and apps and all that kind of stuff. No,
Hi, Joel and Andy here. Thanks for listening to our podcast. We're loving sharing our marketing tips with you.
If you'd like to kickstart your marketing, why not jump on a discovery call? Simply visit codebreak.co.uk and apply there. Hopefully speak to you soon.
Take care.
Okay, some knowledge and tech is required, but maybe not as much as you think. And podcasts, if you're going to do them properly, do them for at least 3 months and test and measure. And if it doesn't work out, then okay, so be it. But at least you've given it 100%. If you haven't got an expert opinion and view to share, don't bother doing it, obviously. But if you have, and if positioning is important to you, if you want to be seen as an authority in your industry, Andy, then yeah, definitely look at podcasts. So, but social media, in terms of the second half of your question, how do I easily stay in touch with my customers? Yeah, social media, obviously, email. Hopefully you're staying in touch with your customers via email anyway. You are sending out regular email newsletters to them, sending them some top tips and stuff. It's amazing that pretty much every business, especially a service sort of providing business, every business will have on their website somewhere some kind of newsletter sign up for. But half the time you fill that in, you just never receive anything of them. So have an email newsletter sign up form on your website, of course, but make sure that is linked to something like MailChimp, some kind of legally compliant mass email provider. And then make sure at least once a month you are sending content out. So for example, we've got an email called Marketing Monday, and it's where we send out, Joel and I, our free marketing tips every Monday, and people can sign up on our website and receive our free advice that way. So that's a great tool. Sounds simple. Email open rates are getting harder to get people to open your emails, to cut through the noise, obviously. So if you can have these various marketing communication pillars propping up your business, it doesn't matter so much that maybe email isn't as effective as it used to be, because you've got your Facebook ads, because you've got your podcast, all these other things communicating your expertise out to your customers and also your potential customers. So a question of Grace Williamson. Grace, I run a design agency and we still have work coming in. We're lucky. But should we be advertising and offering our services at a reduced rate during this time as a way of helping others? Tricky one, this one. Freebies, discounts, difficult thing. Discounts can work really well. So you say here at a reduced rate. But the thing about discounts is, Grace, it is taking money out of your wallet. It literally is. There's nothing in my wallet, I've got children. So it literally is taking money out of your wallet and taking money off your bottom line. So we tend not to advise straightforward discounts. And to be honest, if you want to do something boring and bland like 10% off, it ain't going to set the world on fire anyway. People are greedy, nothing insulting meant there, it's just that there are so many good offers out there. If you're going to do a percentage off, to be honest, it has to be at least 25%, even to make people stop scrolling. You've got to remember, on a phone, people are doing this, 10% off. Whoa, 50%, what's this? And if you do want to do 50%, again, that's just 50% off your bottom line. So we tend to advise looking at creative offers instead, Grace. So things like Sainsbury's and Boots, they're two big players who do offers well. So you go into Boots to buy some toothpaste, for example, you come out with toothpaste, you come out with dental floss, you come out with mouthwash, because they'll do things like, buy two, get a third free, or spend X amount, get Y free. So that's creative offers. That's almost getting people to part with more money, but you're giving them more value in return, rather than just discounting. Some people prefer just to do freebies, because with freebies, okay, one, they're the most appealing offer. Netflix, their first month isn't at a discounted rate. Their first month is free. And if you don't want to pay after that, that's up to you, but that's their hook. first month free, brilliant. And I wouldn't like to think what the percentage of people who carry on paying for Netflix is after their first free month. It's really hard to say, after their first free month, but I imagine it's a pretty high percentage. So, we've done the same with various charities. We used to do a service, a web design service. We built quite a few websites in between all the consultancy and everything else. And we used to offer discounts for charities who wanted their website doing. But to be honest, sometimes a risk can be with a discount, especially if it's a discount on a service. If you're selling a widget, a discount could work more easily. If you're selling a service, people might want the same platinum level service, but they're paying the bronze price. And we wanted to do the right thing and build websites for charities at a discounted rate. But to be honest, it became too much of a pain. And to be honest, it's easier and more marketable and better PR, to be honest, to be blunt about it, to do a website for free for a charity. Not that we're doing free websites all the time, but for example, we've just recently designed a website for a local charity called the Caitlin's Kickstart Award, and we did it free of charge. So there's no quibbling about anything. There's no discounts. It's just, we will build your website free of charge. So if you're talking about offering a reduced rate, Grace, I'd think very carefully about who and why you're going to offer it. And if you are tempted to do a reduced rate, I'd think about some kind of creative offer instead. But also think why? Why do you want to do it? If it's just to get money in, definitely go down the creative offer route rather than trying to do something like 10% off, because another danger of offering 10% off is that people will want that 10% off forever, whereas most decent people, they don't expect something to be free forever. So hopefully that's food for thought. Right, a guy called Mark B, my good, right, I printed this off and that is in tiny font for some reason. Right, okay, definitely wear my glasses next time. I'm used to having lots of face-to-face time with my clients, which I currently can't do. How can I maintain my professional relationships remotely? Right, okay, well, Mark, we've talked about Zoom already. So Zoom, that could be a great way of just dialing in with your clients once a week. Now, you might want to get your clients on a group call. You might not want different clients seeing each other, so you might want to do individual Zoom calls. But that can work really well. We like setting up WhatsApp groups. So for our consultancy clients, we will set up a WhatsApp group for them. So their account manager, whoever else in the Codebreak team is going to be helping them, and the clients themselves. And that's a quick, easy way to communicate with them. So especially for emergencies, whether that's evenings, weekends, Christmas Day, anything like that. So WhatsApp groups can be a good way of staying in touch. And I appreciate that's not face-to-face, but at least it's still staying in touch. Because I don't know about you, but phone calls seem to be getting trickier and trickier to manage, because someone calls you, you're not available. Now, just because you're in lockdown at home does not mean you're available 24/7. You might be fighting way more fires than you had to before. You're dealing with clients who are really struggling and stressed and under pressure. So you might even be busier than before. So don't let a client assume that you are just at their beck and call because you're at home 24/7. It doesn't work like that. So phone calls can be trickier. That, again, someone calls you, you miss the call, they leave a voicemail. Okay, you listen to the voicemail, you call them back, they don't answer, and you end up wasting all this time playing telephone tennis. So it might be better, if you're going down the phone call route, Mark, of looking at some kind of diary software that literally you can send a client or whoever a link via email, and they can book a slot in your diary so you know that both people will be available. We do that at Codebreak. It saves a lot of fanning about, I've got to be honest. So WhatsApp groups, Zoom, using some kind of diary management software for phone calls. And of course, another way of maintaining professional relationships can be via email that we've talked about already, because you can send videos by email. There are quite a few decent email video software providers where you can film your video from your phone, from your computer, and get it emailed straight to Bob, Sue, whoever it might be. So that's a nice touch, to send a personalised greeting like that. Obviously, you can use social media to stay in touch with everyone, whether it's a customer, a potential customer, a mum, or whoever it might be. So using social media well is just almost like the one size fits all. But in terms of the real personal touch, we look at Zoom or doing some kind of video by email. Hopefully that will work for you, Mark. So a comment from Emma Lou O'Donoghue's come in. So I usually got Evie managing this, but obviously Evie's not here, so I'll try. I'm not very good at multitasking. I should make that clear. Emma, how often should we be putting Instagram stories on daily, and how many? What's your advice? Thanks. Okay, Emma, Instagram stories, brilliant, really good way of showing the personalities, the fun behind your business. Not that your normal Instagram feed should be full of boring stuff. Absolutely not. Life's too short. But your stories at Codebreak, we pretty much have a story running all the time, maybe not at weekends. We don't want to encroach upon our team too much at the weekends. So if you can always have a story running, 3 or 4 pictures or short videos, but make your stories engaging. Like we mentioned earlier, it's not so much about the frequency, it's the engagement, having quality stories. So maybe you want to ask questions on a story, maybe you want to promote a fundraiser through a story, or have a poll. Did you like my last blog? Yes, no, get people to interact, that kind of thing. But if you can have a story running, yes, stories are massive, as you know, Emma, and you can have your story on Instagram and share it onto Facebook at the same time. I know I mentioned this lots, but a lot of people still don't know or don't realise, through no fault of their own, but Instagram is owned by Facebook. So that's a massive reason why Instagram is so powerful. And Facebook, Zuckerberg and co are really trying to push stories. So if you can do interesting stories on Instagram and link through to Facebook stories, happy days. So thanks for that, Emma. As ever, if everyone's got any questions, just post away, and myself or one of the team will do our best to work our way through them this afternoon. So we'll be going for 25 minutes now. Goodness me, and you're still here. Thank you very much. That's a few questions. We do this every Tuesday at 2:00, and it'll be Joel next week. We are probably going to be going back to doing a few joint ones. Fingers crossed, we'll be back in the office in a month's time, and we can start getting Georgie, Emily, Jenny, Evie, other people involved. So I'm sure you're sick of seeing my mug and Joel's mug every week. We really enjoy doing them. We don't like doing discounts, as we talked about too much earlier on. We'd much rather either do a creative discount, or we'd much rather give stuff away for free, which is the whole idea of our Marketing Monday emails, the podcasts we do, the blogs we do, and these live Q&As. It's sort of sharing what we've learned over the years with you guys. Because it is tough out there. It is obviously, it's a massive challenge. Me and Joel have been through the mill like you all. I might be sitting here with a sort of smile on my face at the moment, but it was when the lockdown was announced, that period of confusion and anger, depression, whatever it might be, probably everyone goes through it, but it's how we deal with it. And I've said this to a client recently when they asked how we're coping. The way I look at it is, my daughters are still quite young, and when they talk about the lockdown and coronavirus with their friends years down the line, I don't want them to remember their father curled up on the sofa binging Netflix. I want them to remember someone who at least stood up to the challenge and was proactive and did something, not just to look after his own business and their livelihood, but to help other people. Our mission statement, which is all over our website, I'm not just making this up, our mission statement is to help people and have fun. And that's what it's all about for me and Joel. So for those of you tuned in today, I hope you got some use out of it. I'm going to put my bandana back on, and I will see you soon for another edition of our live Q&A. Hit the music, Carl.